Okay, I'd like to call the meeting to order at 7:30. Roll call, please.
Mr. Blackstock.
Here.
Mr. Knotts.
Here.
Mr. Horn. Mr. Boda.
Here.
Mr. Simons.
Here.
Cram here. Mr. Pat Salas is excused.
Thank you. Ralph, would you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Certainly. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Next, we have the approval of the agenda. I would like to go down to the education policy and take that off. We've tabled it twice. Kind of got on there without my knowledge, but after I seen it, it was too late, so.
I'll second that.
Okay. All in favor of taking the education policy off the unfinished business? Any further discussion? Anything else on the agenda we'd like to do too? All right, hearing none. All in favor of taking that off the agenda, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Approve the agenda. Next, we have the approval of the minutes of the public hearing and the regular minutes of the August 4, 2014 meeting.
I'll make a motion if there are no corrections, excuse me, no corrections, additions, or deletions for the public hearing of August 4th and the official meeting of August 4th. Make a motion that we accept them both.
I'll support that.
Okay, it's been moved and supported that we accept the minutes as presented. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Next, we have public comment. Is there anybody who'd like to speak about anything that's not on the agenda? Okay, seeing none. Moving on to the consent agenda. We have C1, the July 9, 2014 Park Commission minutes. C2, July 23rd, 2014 Park Commission special meeting minutes. C3 is the July 2014 Marine City Fire Report. C4 is the August 6, 2014 Historical Commission minutes. C5 is the July 2014 Investment Income Report. C6 is the Interior Potential Rate Increase. C7 is the June 5, 2014 Beautification Committee minutes. And C8 is the estimated July 2014 revenue and expenditure report. Is there any questions on that?
Yeah, I've got a question on Marine City Area Fire Authority.
Okay.
They had Marsh Road and Springborn, that would be in China Township.
Right.
I think we all
It's
marked
a
that one.
grass fire.
It was a grass fire.
All right. We'll get that taken off.
They got it on our agenda. They got it marked China, but they got it on our agenda.
That should probably be what, China? Okay.
Yep.
Okay, any other questions on the consent agenda?
Well, I have no more.
I've got a couple.
Okay, Ralph?
On the MTERA potential rate increase, I'm wondering if it might be a good idea to send a letter to the county objecting to that increase prior to the termination of our present contract. In other words, if they want to increase it, like they're not increasing it for people that pay directly to them, just for the people that are hauling in. And we have a contract that's good for like 2 more years, I think, that if they, basically the wording would be that such that if you're going to increase it, you shouldn't increase it until we have a chance to renegotiate the contract. Rather, because
It's actually in the
they'll just
contract.
pass that sucker along directly to us. We have no negotiation.
And you caught the same thing I did, Ralph, and I called him this afternoon on that. If you read your letter, it says in there that if you pay directly, that there will be no increase to you.
Yeah.
And I called the landfill manager this afternoon about 2:00, and I said, why is that? And he says, so I read him his own letter.
Right.
And he said, well, I guess I didn't explain that too good. He meant to say in the letter that there's no increase in your trucking to the townships. but he said the people that are paying the tipping fees direct to the landfill or to the county will be getting the increase also.
Okay.
But it still doesn't answer what you're asking.
My second-
You're
yeah,
saying
that's-
we
that's
should
fixing
do it
the
when our
first part.
contracts expire.
I'm wondering if they're gonna put an increase in the contract, it ought to be effective at the time we renew our contract. Because
We can ask that.
we have no way to negotiate with our present contract. They'll pass it straight through. Whereas next time when we're negotiating, maybe get Waste Management and MTerra together, even though the waste tipping fee went up, we'd have some leverage on negotiating a new contract. Just a suggestion of,
Is
might
there
be a good
anything in
idea.
the contract for anything like unforeseen, like the county just raising it?
There is.
Yep.
It's in the contract.
Yep, there's a pass-through provision.
Yep, it's in the contract.
And the other thing, I just have a question. Regarding the beautification committee, I saw the sign again as I drove in about the monthly gardening meetings, gardening lectures.
Mhm.
I was curious as to how well are they doing? What kind of, do we get attendance? What kind of attendance?
We're
do
getting
we- we've been doing it for
25 to
quite a
30
while.
people. Yeah, we could still get 25 to 30 people
Oh,
at
great.
every lecture. Interesting topics. It's been going really good.
Good. That's all. I have nothing else.
Okay, anybody else have anything else with consent agenda? If not, a motion to accept it as presented.
I'll make a motion to accept the consent agenda as presented.
Support.
It's been moved and supported that we accept the consent agenda as presented. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next, we have disbursements. We have bills of $74,375.27. We have payroll of $21,569.96. We have ACH payments of $42,903.43. And we have a tax account of $169,732.65 for a total disbursement of $308,581.31.
I'll make a motion, we pay the bills in the amount of $308,581.31.
I'll support.
Okay, it's been moved and supported that we pay the bills. Any further discussion? We're going to pay the bills in the sum of $308,581.31. Roll call, please.
Mr. Boda,
Yes.
Mr. Horn,
Yes,
Mr. Knopf,
Yes?
Mr. Blackstock.
Yes.
Cram, yes. Mr. Simons?
Yes. Motion carries. We pay the bills. Moving on to new business. We have professional planners proposal. We have Stephen N. Casson. We have Design Local. We have Wade Trim. And we have Carlisle Workman Associates. I sent this to our planning department. They're recommending Wade Trim. But it's entirely up to our board. I think Herb can maybe speak a little bit about what he thinks we should be doing.
I guess after looking at these, we received 4. One of them appears to be, it was very brief in terms of their description. One of them, I believe it was designing local, actually isn't local. They're actually out of Columbus, Ohio. I know a concern of the planning commission has been response time in terms of trying to be as local as possible, so I guess we have some reservations in terms of that group. Really, we've discussed it in our last meeting, which was a while ago, and the use of Wade Trim makes logical sense. There are engineers currently, so when a plan comes through, we have our planning group as well as the engineers review for engineering and planning. So, their proposal would seem to streamline it a little bit. We'd have one group that could provide us with both of those reviews. And when compared with the other, I would consider local group, which is Carlisle Wortman, believe their fees were a little bit lower. Again, it's not something that we've typically entered into a long-term contract with. It's more of just an agreement that we've utilized them as our consultants, so.
We have Mr. Newmer here from Wade Trim. He is our engineer right now. If anybody has any questions for Dave.
How long have they had these to go through them? Have they had them for a little bit?
Oh, yeah, they've had them for a
Well,
couple, 3 weeks.
yeah,
Oh, okay.
Well, we've had Wade Trims, I think, a little longer. There should be a date on there.
Is this the first time I've
since
seen it?
July 28th.
I'm not taking anything away at all from Wade Trim. Don't take me wrong in this. When I was going through all these proposals, I noticed that the last one I had here, this Carlisle Wortman Associates, they seem to have an awful lot of contacts, or if you will, jobs within St. Clair County. Many counties, if you go to the back of the proposal, they've got all these charts back there of what they do in different townships, different cities. And I noticed they had St. Clair on there, they got St. Clair County. Different areas, around St. Clair County, Macomb County. I guess I'm not taking anything away from Wade Trim at all. I was just asking if that was looked at when they were going through.
It was, and that was why I said, really, it's this board's decision who we use. But I thought, why should we be not working with our planning department and letting them tell us who they feel is who they want to work with?
And if that's who they feel with, I'm comfortable with it. I have
That's
no
that's
problem.
why I asked if they had enough time to go through these.
They did, and I talked to the chairman, I think Dave and I talked months ago, and I talked to the chairman, and his feeling months ago was Wade Trim. And that brings me into my next question. Is there a way that this will save the township money by having the two within one company? I mean, is there steps that could be eliminated when we're doing things, or?
Oh, I think so, yeah. For example, in the interim here, you had a couple of cell tower sites come up. And so the staff sent them over and asked me to have one of our planners review them. And he called me up and was asking about some floodplain issues and some driveway issues and stuff like that. So we kind of corresponded back and forth. We put the recommendations in a letter and sent it off to you. So I think Mr. Blackstock's right on the money is that, we'll be able to coordinate well between the planning and the engineering reviews within the office.
And save us money.
Yes.
That's the big thing.
Well, I
Okay.
said, I don't have any trouble with Wade Trim, so. I assume all the charges are the same, pretty much the same between all four of
No.
them?
No. They're, again, one of them is a completely different fee schedule. And my concern with that organization is that we might find ourselves in the same position that we found ourselves in this time.
Okay.
The other one, again, is I'd have reservations just due to their location.
Okay, thank you.
Nothing-
Okay, so everybody feels comfortable. I guess a motion would be in order to accept one of these.
I'll make a motion that we accept the planning commission's recommendation to use Wade Trim as our professional planner.
I'll support.
Okay, it's been moved and supported that we accept Wade Trim as our planner. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Wade Trim is our new planner.
Thank you.
Thank you. Now, we'll use Wade Trim for our engineering. The second item under new business is the bids for the Dolphin Water Line Main. We had a bid opening here on the 7th, I believe it was, August 7th. We had two bids? Three bids, yeah, three bids, and you had them before you there. After going through everything, and Telto was the low bid on the project. As you can see, the bids were all really close. I mean, amazingly close.
$4, yeah, I've never seen a bid within
$4.
less than $5, yeah.
And a $196,000 bid.
Right.
So,
We had, when Clark put the water line in over here on Walnut and Orchard, we had problems with them too, didn't we?
We did.
It's kind of messy job, yeah.
Is it Tilto Contracting, is it the same who did the paving on Point Drive?
Correct. Yeah, then they did the paving, they do a lot of water line leaks. They did that one out in China for China there on King Road, they did that one. Yeah, I think they're I think it's Casco Township is where they're out of. Is there any other questions on the Dolphin water line? If not, I guess a motion to accept the bid for the Dolphin water line to the low bidder of Telto Contracting would be in order.
Well, I'll make a motion that we award the contract for the Dolphin Street water main to Telto Contracting for a cost of $96,719.96. Is the recommendation of Wade Trim.
I'll support that.
Is that our engineer's recommendation? I'm sorry. Is that our engineer's recommendation?
Correct.
Thank you.
Yes. Any further discussion on the water line? If not, roll call, please.
Mr. Blackstock.
Yes.
Mr. Knotts.
Yes.
Mr. Horn.
Yes,
Mr. Boda.
Yes,
Cram, yes. Mr. Simons.
Yes, I think it should be noted in there too what the exact amount was in your minutes.
Yeah, I have it on.
You got it there, it was $96,719.96. Okay. Moving on to new business 3, bids to paint the north end water tower.
Supervisor?
What's that?
Just please, back on Dolphin, I have a couple other recommendations in there about the construction engineering authorization and then authorization of the contingency amount. I don't know if the board wants to discuss those at this point or not.
What is that now, Dan?
They're part of the recommendation letter. Should be at the bottom of the second page. Basically, what we typically do is, if we have a change order come up or some kind of unforeseen circumstance, a lot of times we'll ask that the township board will authorize a contingency amount to be authorized by the supervisor if we have something come up, so that we don't have to stop construction and wait for the next board meeting to get something approved.
Okay,
It just keeps construction process moving ahead. And then the other portion of that was that we had also asked for an amount, a budget of, I think, $8,000 that would be used on a time and materials basis for processing change orders, doing construction staking, addressing resident concerns, basically everything that needs to be done on the project other than the inspection portion. And that would be on a time and materials basis, so.
that would be authorized through the supervisor? All that, the 8,000 too?
Yes, the 8,000 would be an authorization for Wade Trim to do the construction engineering.
You already did the construction engineering.
We did the design engineering, this is the engineering during construction, this would be construction staking, this would be preparing as-bills, this would be checking easements, this would be processing payments to the contractors, those same types of things that we're doing with the wastewater plant now, the services during construction.
Okay, so I guess we'll have to have another motion for that, to do those two things, if the board feels comfortable. I agree, we don't want to hold the project up to wait 2 weeks for another board meeting if we have to go over. What's your feelings on that?
I thought that was in the motion, so.
Oh, that
No,
part,
I'm not opposed to it. I think usually they do have a
contingency, yeah. Read the motion back
in
to us,
case they
would you?
run into problems.
They made a motion to award the contract to
Tell
Telto Contracting in the amount of $96,719.96.
So then, do we amend that to also include the,
contingency fund and
you want me to withdraw my motion?
heavy engineering.
well, I think we can just make another motion to authorize the 10% contingency and the construction engineering amount in 8,000.
Up to 8,000, because it's going to be billed on an hourly basis.
Right. Yeah, if we don't need it all, we won't use it.
We won't use it.
And, yeah,
Oh,
construction engineering is not to exceed 10%.
you want just a separate motion?
Yeah, make a separate motion to authorize the 10% of the contingency of the amount approved, which would be 10% of 96,000, 9,600.
It's fine. I'll make that motion that we approve the 10% contingency as well as the amount up to $8,000 to authorize construction engineering.
Support.
By Wayne Trim.
All right, it's been moved and supported that for the Dolphin Water Line, we do the 10% contingency and the $8,000 for construction engineering, not to exceed. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Nats?
Yes.
Mr. Blackstock?
Yes.
Mr. Horn?
Yes.
Mr. Boda?
Yes.
Cram, yes. Mr. Simons?
Yes. Motion carries.
Thank you, sir, that wasn't as clear in my letter.
Yeah, well, I should have caught that part of it, but I didn't.
Original motion.
Just did the backside. Just need to run the bottom of your, front of your letters, you need to write, see other side.
Yeah, keep going.
Yeah. Okay, moving on to item number 3, which is the bid to paint the north end water tower. Again, you have that in your packet. We had 4 bidders in there?
Well, we got that same thing, same 10% contingency on that one too, so
Yes.
if there's a motion, that should be added in.
We will. We'll do that. I'm just having trouble finding it. Let's see.
For the bids, there were 4 bidders. They ranged from 132 up to, I think, 261. I discussed the bids with Nelson Tank Engineering, who's our sub-consultant, that's kind of the tank expert that we're working with. And they said, as I was telling them about the bids, he said, let me guess, you got one that's about twice the low bid, didn't you? And I said, yeah, we did. I said, no. He said, yeah, they always do that. So I guess that's not unusual. But they reviewed the bids along with us. The recommendation is to award to LC. That's the same contractor that did your tank, that same tank 10 years ago. When we talked to your staff and when I talked to the folks over at Nelson, everybody kind of said, yeah, they're a little bit, they're a little bit difficult to deal with sometimes, contractors, you have to kind of keep an eye on them. But there's $15,000 between them and the next bidder, so I think the options for the board are award it to the low bidder and then keep a little closer eye on them, or, you know, if you want to work with somebody who's maybe considered to be a little better contractor, it's not $15,000, that's a lot more.
Oh, at 15,000.
You know, I guess the
's a
question is-
contingency.
Yeah.
There's so much we want to put up with a possibly bad contractor.
Well, we've worked with them before, and that was 10 years ago,
We've
too.
worked with them before, they've got a couple different crews. If you get this crew, they're pretty good. If you get this crew, you just have to watch them a little closer and keep on them and make sure that they're doing it.
This Nelson Tank Engineering, is everybody familiar with what they're doing? We've had Wade Trim as our engineers, and that we've hired this Nelson Tank and Engineering to oversee, because they're experts on these water towers.
Right.
And they're recommending them also, so,
They're recommending else,
They'll
United
have to
Painting,
keep the eye on.
yep,
Yes.
so we can put up with
right,
$15,000 worth of difference.
yep.
Okay.
And we don't know that for sure, but they're still posting the bond and everything on this.
They give us a performance bond and everything, yeah.
Yep.
And they've been around for decades. They went around, you know, they did your tank 10 years ago. So
Right.
it's a contractor that's been around for a long time. Just they've got a little bit of a reputation of,
Yeah.
you know, being a little difficult, that's all.
Where are
What do you
they out
mean
of?
by being a little difficult?
They'll push us on change orders and changes when maybe the contract doesn't allow them to, so I'd say, no, here, look here, you can't get that. Scheduling sometimes, you know, they don't show up when they're supposed to, things like that. They'll get the project done within the contract limits, you know, by the due date, but they just may not show up when they're supposed to, or,
Okay. With respect to change orders, that does not fall under unforeseen circumstances. If they punch us a change order, that's got to come back here, right?
yes.
I have one other question. This tank here, are they thinking or planning on putting the name East China Township on the tank like we have the south tank, or?
I don't know, we didn't think about that.
Just a thought.
There's no lettering in the contract now. but that might be one of your things, yeah, so if you would ask me to do that.
Well, I think we had to get a price on it first.
Yeah, it's more for us to speak of.
Okay, I can ask that, Don. Go ahead. Okay, if that's everybody's opinion on it, I guess a motion to accept who you want to be the low bid, which is LLC United Painting at $132,000.
You make that motion, Larry?
I can,
Plus the 10%.
And you're doing the 10% at the same time?
and the 10% and on page 2.
I'll support that motion.
Authorizing 10% contingency, and no engineering on this one, it'd just be the 10% contingency.
You've already authorized for construction.
All right, it's been moved and supported that we choose LC United Painting for $132,000.
Now they paint both interior and exterior.
Painting interior and exterior, yeah. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Boda?
Yes.
Mr. Horn?
Yes.
Mr. Knotts?
Yes.
Mr. Blackstock?
Yes.
Cram, yes. Mr. Simons?
Yes. Motion carries. There are new contracts. Moving on to new business, number 4. Set public hearing of September 2, 2014 at 7:15 PM for the special assessment roll.
This is for the canals back.
So moved.
Need support?
Support.
It's been moved and supported that we set the public hearing for September 2, 2014 at 7:15. That'll be before our regular meeting.
That's for the canals back.
Correct, yep, for the canals. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next, we have new business, number 5, accounts payable position in the township offices here. Clerk Cram brought it up at our last meeting in her comments, and we said we'd put it on the agenda. So now I guess we want to move forward with, if that's the feeling, I guess now would be the time to make a motion to move forward with getting the, what do you call it, the posting out, or?
We need to do a posting and advertise. I'm working with Sandy Smith in the office on a job description, what we're actually looking for, the qualifications that we want. And after discussing it with the auditors, it was recommended that we start with a part-time person for accounts payable and then see where it goes from there as far as easing up the duties on the bookkeeper now, who is so overwhelmed, and there's so much to do if we're taking something off of that plate to try and get everything more timely.
And you're gonna have her, you're gonna consult her in part of it?
When we do the interviews and the requirements and that, yes, I definitely want to make sure that,
Okay.
I'm getting input from
I want to
everybody.
make sure that they know this software.
Yes,
Yes,
that's right in the first
that-
paragraph of the job posting.
And it'll be a part-time position, but they will take over the entire accounts receivable.
Payable, it's
Payable.
payables, yes, it's,
But they will take over the entire responsibility.
they will be doing
not
that
just
job.
payable.
No, they're going to get the accounts payable from start to finish. That's what they'll be doing.
Maybe we just ought to authorize them to proceed with the hiring of a temporary position called accounts payable, and then bring back when the job description is finished, bring it back so the board gets a chance to look at it. And, if they have any further comments. Right now, commenting on a job description that doesn't exist
Right.
is kind of useless. We need to have something in front of them, this is the job description, and we can all either agree to it or we can make suggestions. But I would think we just go ahead and authorize to proceed with acquiring a accounts payable clerk as a temporary position, job description to follow.
That works for
I mean,
me.
we've got an idea what it is, but
Yeah, and we don't know
just
what the
can't be
pay is
talking
gonna
about
be.
directly
and
what-
we-
because we don't have anything written in writing.
Right. So did you,
My
is
suggestion.
that a motion there? That was the only motion we had on the floor?
If you wish, that's a motion,
Oh, okay.
yes.
All right, we have a motion to proceed with hiring a payroll accounts payable position, and the job description to follow. Before we do that, before we hire that person, we want to have the job description completed, with what approved by the board.
Right.
And assume that eventually somebody's got to bring forward a recommendation as to rate of pay, et cetera.
Right. That'll come in with the job description.
Okay.
Don't you think, Dee?
Mhm.
Okay. All right, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll support.
It's been moved and supported. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next, moving on to unfinished business, DPW supervisor. As you all know, what happened with the other one, I don't think we have to go over that. The committee convened again, and we came up with another suggestion. And with that, I'll let the committee spokesman talk. Mr. Knotts.
Okay, and I will do a little review of history. Several weeks ago, the board appointed a search committee to find the best candidate to fulfill the vacant DPW supervisor position. We received several applications, and 6 people set up interviews. There were 2 no-shows, there were 3 qualified individuals. The committee found that the most qualified of the 3 was Michael Harrington, and as a result of our last board meeting, he was offered the position. However, when contacted, he stated he was no longer interested in the East China job, as he had recently started a new job. Therefore, the committee re-met to discuss the 2 remaining qualified candidates. The committee found that of the 2 qualified candidates, the most qualified is Mr. Michael Snyder. Therefore, I, in accordance with the recommendation of the search committee, move that the board authorize the township supervisor to take those actions necessary to hire Mr. Michael Snyder as the East China Township Department of Public Works supervisor.
I'd like to make a suggestion that this board table this until we have a full board.
I'll support that.
We didn't have a support for his.
Yeah, do we have to finish him first?
I don't know.
Or were you just give, oh no, you.
I made a motion, I did not hear a second for it.
I'll support.
Well, we have a motion. I mean, he was making the motion. You asked to make a motion on top of his motion. We have a motion and a second. I don't know how to handle this.
We don't have a full board, but that's what he was asking for.
This is
I
going to
don't-
be a decision. I don't want it held by 6 people.
I don't see any reason not to proceed, frankly. That's up to you guys. We could take a vote on my motion, or we can take, I'd be just as happy to take a vote on Mr. Horn's motion if that's the case.
I'd like to see it tabled until we had a full board.
My question in that is, how long are we able to go without this license that we have to have?
I thought you said you found somebody in St. Clair with a license, and you can use their name on the license.
We're using a license right now. Yes, we are. But it's-
Okay, so what's the big hurry about
no,
getting somebody tonight then, instead of waiting until there's a full board?
I guess there's no big hurry. I don't know, I thought I wanted to get this resolved, but that's my opinion. I mean,
Yours-
do you think that it's going to be advantageous in the vote? I don't want to say it's swayed one way or the other. I'm sorry that we couldn't have a full board tonight. I thought we were going to have a full board. We don't.
And what's the guarantee that we'll have a full board the next 4 times we meet?
Right. How long do you want to let this run out? Do you want to put a deadline on it? I mean, the next meeting? If it's not a full board, I'm not going any longer in 2 weeks.
I'm gonna walk
I
off.
suggest we vote on the one we got today. 6 members is enough to make a vote.
No, we have a motion on the floor and we have a second.
Then I'm walking off.
Where are you walking off to?
Is it, I have to ask, is there the issue with the subcommittee? Is this not a unanimous recommendation?
It's not a unanimous
No,
recommendation.
it is not a unanimous recommendation. 2 to 1.
In which direction?
2 to 1 favor.
Well, I guess it's up to Ralph if he wants to rescind his motion. If he wants to rescind it and go with yours, then that's what we'll do. If he doesn't, we're gonna vote on it.
I'd like to see a full board on it anyhow, please.
I drove down
We
here.
want the
I
education
drove down here from
policy.
Caseville tonight just for this vote.
Correct.
I will not rescind my motion.
So we need to vote.
All right. It's been moved and seconded that we accept Mike Schneider as the new DPW supervisor. Roll call, please.
Mr. Knotts,
Yes.
Mr. Blackstock,
Yes.
Mr. Boda,
No.
Mr. Horn,
No,
Cram, yes.
Simons,
Mr.
yes.
Simons?
That's it. Goodbye.
Okay. I'm sorry you feel that way, Don, but I mean,
No. This is the last meeting.
motion carries. Michael Snyder, I'll offer the job to him when he comes back from
So you
vacation.
want, I know you feel as though you owe it to him to do the vote, but you're gonna put up a lot of grief?
Well, we're gonna
And you
have,
know you know you're gonna have grief. It's
Well,
gonna
we're
come
gonna
back and
have
haunt
grief.
you. You know it is.
who's saying we're not gonna have grief for somebody else?
Well, you know you're gonna have grief with this
Well,
one.
We'll deal with it. We have an employee policy, we're negotiating a contract.
There hasn't done anything to him yet.
No.
Now I'd like to ask Mr. Mr. Knotts, did he call you and pick you up for a couple-hour tour of the township?
No, I went down there about 3 or 4 weeks ago.
Well, he took you for a couple-hour tours of the
I
township.
asked him to.
Yeah, okay. So instead of doing his job, he was out lobbying you around the township.
I asked him to show me around town. I hadn't been in.
He was lobbying you
I
around
hadn't
the
been in
township.
DPW. I
No,
had been
he
in the
was
sewer and
lobbying
water.
you
for-
around the
I don't think
township.
this is.
You're putting words in my mouth, Mr. Boda, and that is not correct.
I don't
No,
think this
hey,
is.
boy. He should have been out doing his job.
Right.
Instead of taking somebody for a tour and saying, this is what I did, that's what I did this. We should have asked him a question. You get paid for it, for doing that.
Okay, I think that's enough discussion on this. We're going to move on to the announcements of the township. Township offices will be closed September 1, 2014 for Labor Day. The township board will meet on September the 2nd, 2014. The annual township picnic will be held September 13, 2014 in the park. The other thing is the Point Drive Bridge is to start construction on Tuesday, which is tomorrow, and it'll go on until November. Next, we have members' comments. Mr. Horn?
I just have that one, I went up on Margaret again, there is no other activity up there except they cut the brush in the ditch. And
I talked to the DPW this afternoon about that.
if we're gonna,
They got the pipe coming, it's ordered. When it gets here, I told them we're gonna approve the water line, the water tower tonight, and we may need to send a little bit of water down that ditch, and he assured me that they will get it done.
okay. I just
yeah,
wanna
I've been
let you know,
watching it.
As soon as you drain that water tower, well, you're
Well-
gonna have a problem in there.
I understand that we're not gonna drain all that water tower. They're gonna run it low and there'd be very little water. The only time that we would have to do something if we have to flush it, and is what, we'll have to flush a tank full, and that'll be, but we'll let it out slower if we do that.
Okay. I just want to bring you up to date.
Okay, Mr. Boda,
Nothing.
Mr. Graham,
No, I'm all set.
Mr. Blackstock?
Just want to congratulate the Parks Commission and the Summer Rec Director, Director Arnold, on a very successful program this summer. They had a very, very large turnout. The program was very much enjoyed.
Okay, Mr. Knott?
I have nothing further.
And I have nothing other than we're finally getting to the bridge, and I hope it all goes smoothly. And with that, I guess a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a,
Motion that we adjourn at 8:09.
I'll support.
Okay, it's been moved and supported that we adjourn at 8:09. Any further comments? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We are adjourned.